I'm a new member of the Nova Scotia Health. They dropped the word authority. Nova Scotia Health, it's called. And one of the first things I did was to do a cross-cultural education session. And partly the organization itself has incorporated within its strategic management plan the concept of indigenization and providing learning opportunities for all the health directors and eventually to all the health providers across the province. And in British Columbia, they incorporated the UNDRIP. They legislated it as a provincial uh, priority. The United Nations, the Declaration of the Rights of Indigenous Peoples. And in there, it provides the opportunities um, to engage in those anti-racism kind of concepts and ideas and programs to help initiate understanding and learning and knowledge about the issue. And it's only this way that we'll be able to help prepare the next generation of people that are coming into existence, because it's hard to change overnight. And like Elder White Cloud said, you can't legislate attitude. And it has to come at a base level of education for the young people, and as they grow older, into high school and into university education. And that's the only way we're going to be able to battle that whole issue of racism in every service, whether it's health or education.
I'm aware that through the Truth and Reconciliation recommendations, as well as other recommendations, that there are various institutions across the country that have committed to creating a process for addressing the recommendations, especially when it comes to educational institutions. Um, there's a joint committee that was created to action the concerns raised on Indigenous health through the it's called Medical Facilities of Canada. For those that are asking that question, there's been a plan put forward for introducing and training Indigenous students who want to go into the medical field, whether it be nurses, physicians, or technicians, and a means of introducing that. That's been a commitment made. I'm aware of. I've read about it. I'm also aware, specifically in Manitoba, that the post-secondary institutions, all of them have committed to an action plan for addressing the recommendations in the TRC report, the Truth and Reconciliation report. So there are those who are committed, who have made commitments. Now, the challenge is to follow up with action. That has always been the challenge. When we go back to all the other reports that have been done, they are there on public record for everybody to read, to gain an understanding of what we're talking about, and to gain an understanding of why there is always question on our part about commitments from governments or institutions that they're going to address these things, because the earliest reports that have been done, that have been commissioned by governments, have never been addressed or have been only partially addressed. You go back to RCAP, 4,000 pages, and all the recommendations that came out of that, and it sits on a shelf somewhere, all of it. We're hoping that the recommendations that came out of the Truth and Reconciliation Commission won't sit somewhere and not be addressed, because it impacts everybody. And the reason why we are having this conversation today is because those recommendations, but not only that, the experiences that have been shared by our people through all from residential school on out forward to today, including Jordan's principle, including Joyce's principle, including all the other reports, have identified what needs to be done, not only by governments, but by society and by individuals, by each one of us, to ensure that we all live together in a good way, that we all have an opportunity to be the best that we can be, and especially that our children can be the best that they possibly can be. We have a responsibility individually to ensure that those recommendations and the commitments made by these institutions and by governments and by individuals are kept and are met. Because it's like what I said before, if you cannot honor your word, what can you honor? And it's a reflection on the individual. And that concept has been lost. Words come very cheaply these days. There is no value to them. Just as paper that the words are written on can be torn and trashed. But your honor is something that you walk with for your lifetime. Your words are something that are a reflection of you, the individual, and those you purport to represent for the rest of your life. And that's important to remember. So for those that are posing those questions about what's available, I encourage you to hold those accountable who have put forward these plans and these recommendations for how they want to address racism in healthcare. Because if you go online and put that in Google or in any search engine, you're going to have at least 50 reports, if not more, that come up that identifies what needs to be done. So I encourage you to read those. But I ask you also to read documents that have been prepared and the words of our knowledge keepers and our ancestors. It's historical. Those words come from ancestors from time immemorial that have carried us to this day. So we share those with you, and I encourage you to follow them. Popira, mi tako was.